Delonte West's battles with mental health and substance abuse have drawn attention for years. But his story didn't start at rock bottom. It started with a first-round draft pick, millions in the bank, and a kid from DC who used basketball to escape everything trying to destroy him. Here's what people forget about Delonte West. He wasn't just a guy who made it to the NBA. He was a guy who clawed his way there through poverty, through bullying, through a childhood that would have broken most people before they ever laced up a pair of sneakers. Delonte was born on July 26, 1983, in Washington, D.C., and grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, raised in poverty, often moving between homes and family members, a period he later described as happy poor. Two words that don't belong together, but that's exactly the contradiction that would follow him his whole life. Happy poor, gifted and broken, rising and falling, all at the same time. Of mixed African American, Native American, and white heritage, West's light skin and reddish hair made him a target for teasing and bullying during his early school years. He was different on the outside and already fractured on the inside. He endured a childhood marked by mental health issues, including multiple suicide attempts, that led to stays in children's hospitals. Let that sink in. This is before high school, before the NBA, before any of the headlines, a kid in and out of hospitals, already fighting a war that nobody around him fully understood. Basketball became his refuge, a way to channel emotion, anger, and ambition into something productive, and the game responded. It gave back everything he poured into it. He went to Eleanor Roosevelt High School in Greenbelt, Maryland, where he excelled at basketball. He led the Roosevelt Raiders to their first state tournament appearance, making it to the Maryland 4A championship, where West had 22 points and 8 rebounds. Though the Raiders lost 70-58, he was still named Washington Post All-Met Basketball Player of the Year due to his averages of 22 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and 3.1 steals per game. Numbers like that don't get ignored. They get you a scholarship, a platform, a ticket out, and that's exactly what happened. He landed at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, where the real ascent began. At St. Joseph's, West formed what was widely regarded as the best backcourt in the country, alongside John R. Wooden Award and Naismith Award winner Jameer Nelson. As a junior, he averaged 18.9 points and 6.7 assists per game, shooting 41% from three-point range. His efforts helped the 2003-04 St. Joseph's Hawks go 27-0 in the regular season and earn an Elite Eight appearance in the NCAA tournament. 27-0 in the regular season, a #1 national ranking. An Elite Eight, that wasn't just a college basketball team, that was a statement, and Delonte West was right in the middle of it, playing every single night like it was the last game of his life. He even had what could only be called a perfect game against Xavier, shooting 12 for 12 from the field, 3 for 3 from three-point range, and 6 for 6 from the foul line, finishing with a career-high 33 points. Perfect. That word matters, because perfection in sports is rare and it's fleeting. And for Delonte West, it would come to represent everything he had and everything he'd eventually lose. He chose to leave St. Joseph's after his junior campaign and was selected by the Boston Celtics as the 24th pick in the 2004 NBA draft. The kid from DC who grew up happy poor, who had been in and out of hospitals as a child, who channeled everything dark in himself into a basketball. He was now a first-round NBA draft pick. He made at least $16, $232, $536 playing professional basketball. $16 million. For a kid who grew up moving between homes and family members, that number is incomprehensible. After making the transition to point guard in his rookie season, West was named the starting point guard at the beginning of the 2005-06 season by head coach Doc Rivers. In that season, he averaged 11.8 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 4.6 assists per game. He was thriving. He was building something real. And then, as it always does in this story, life came for him. The NBA's Delonte West spent half of his career playing with an undiagnosed mental illness, running through money faster than he could make it, and marking his days and nights with episodes of mania and depression. That sentence is the center of everything. Not the guns, not the arrests, not the videos that would eventually circulate on the internet. The center of it all is one word: undiagnosed. Because before the world could even understand what it was watching, Delonte was already in the thick of a battle that the people around him hadn't named yet. West was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in 2008. But here's what makes that date significant. It means he had already played 4 full seasons in the NBA before anyone formally put a name to what was happening inside him. 4 years of highs and lows. 4 years of trying to perform at the highest level of professional basketball, while something in his brain was working against him every single day. Bipolar disorder, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, is a mental disorder that causes unusual shifts in mood, energy, activity levels, concentration, and the ability to carry out day-to-day tasks. Now apply that to an NBA career. Think about what it means to try to maintain consistency in your shooting, in your defense, in your relationships with coaches and teammates, when your own mind is swinging between extremes you can't control. West later described it himself. It's definitely been a spiritual journey. You know, dealing with being bipolar, he said, a missed shot or a lost game. It can turn into a spiraling, snowballing depression type of thing, where it took me hours just to leave the gym. Hours just to leave the gym. The game that was supposed to be his salvation had become another trigger. Every mistake on the court fed the darkness off it. Though West shined on the court, he suffered in silence. Despite clutch jump shots and game-winning alley-oops, he was struggling mentally under the pressure to succeed. And any game-time highs were paired with personal lows. And those personal lows were starting to leak into the public. The year before the diagnosis became public, West had already left the Cavaliers training camp to seek treatment for depression and a mood disorder he said he had battled his entire life. He went on record. He admitted he was struggling. He was taking medication and attending therapy. For a moment, it looked like someone in the NBA machine was actually going to stop and help this man before things spiraled beyond repair. But the machine doesn't stop. It accommodates at best. West had said his mood swings seemed to be most erratic when his life seemed to be in order, and his mood problems dated back to his childhood. That's the cruel twist at the core of this disorder. The better things look from the outside, the more dangerous it can be on the inside. He had a contract, he had teammates, he had structure. And still, the illness found every crack. West was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a condition characterized by extreme mood swings, impulsive behavior, and emotional instability. Unfortunately, during much of his career, mental health awareness in professional sports was limited. That's the institutional failure sitting right there in plain sight. The NBA, a multi-billion-dollar industry built on the bodies and minds of its players, had almost no framework in place to catch someone like Delonte before he fell. American sports analyst Bill Simmons even named West one of the 20 craziest players in the NBA, at a time when what Delonte actually needed wasn't a ranking, it was a doctor. According to 2018 research available on the National Institutes of Health website, people of African ancestry with bipolar disorder have higher rates of misdiagnosis in comparison to people of non-African ancestry with bipolar disorder. Misdiagnosis. Years of symptoms that might have been dismissed, minimized, or mislabeled before anyone got it right. The same year Delonte joined the Cavaliers with the hopes of forming a long-term career, he was hit with the formal diagnosis. He separated from his first wife around the same time, and doctors confirmed bipolar disorder. His marriage, his diagnosis, his career under scrutiny, all at once. He was 24 years old and already holding up more than most people ever have to hold. On February 21, 2008, West was part of a 3-team trade that sent him to the Cleveland Cavaliers. This was supposed to be a fresh start, a new team, a legitimate role, a chance to play alongside the best player on the planet in LeBron James. As a Cavalier, West played in 26 regular season games, starting all 26, and averaged 10 3 points, 4 5 assists, 3-7 rebounds, and 1-1 steals. He had a season-high 20 points against the Boston Celtics, just 6 days after his trade to Cleveland. So the basketball was working. He was contributing. He was relevant. But in the background, the illness, now named, now medicated, but still very much alive, was building pressure. Then came the night that the whole country would talk about. Cavaliers guard Delonte West was arrested after officers pulled him over for speeding on a motorcycle while carrying 2 loaded handguns and a loaded shotgun in a guitar case. Read that again. A guitar case on his back. Police found a Beretta 9mm in his waistband, a Ruger 357 strapped to his leg, and a shotgun in a guitar case slung over his back. 3 weapons on the Capitol Beltway. At 10 o'clock at night, while in the middle of an NBA season, he was riding a Can-Am Spyder motorcycle north on the Capitol Beltway in Upper Marlboro when he cut off an officer who pulled him over. West told the officer he was carrying a handgun in his waistband. He volunteered it right there out loud at the start of a traffic stop. Officers later said West was very cooperative. There were no issues during the incident. That detail, the cooperativeness, the transparency is something that gets lost in the shock of the headline. This wasn't a violent man trying to evade police. This was a man whose hold on reality was fraying at the edges, who drove around with an arsenal strapped to his body, and who calmly told the officer what was happening. He was sentenced to 8 months of home detention, 2 months of probation, and 40 hours of community service after pleading guilty to 2 charges. No prison time, but the suspension was coming. West was suspended for the first 10 games of the 2010-11 season following his guilty plea to the weapons charges in Maryland. And then, the other bombshell dropped. A rumor started circulating. One so incendiary that it consumed every sports media outlet for months. The allegation that Delonte West had been involved with Gloria James, LeBron's mother. The rumor was never confirmed, never proven, but it ripped through the internet like wildfire. Whether true or false, the damage to West's reputation was instantaneous and total. His name became a punchline. His privacy was shredded. After LeBron James left the Cavaliers to sign with the Miami Heat, the Cavaliers traded West to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves waived him shortly after acquiring him. Just like that, the LeBron era, West's highest-profile chapter, was over, and the next phase of his life was about to begin. The phase nobody prepared him for. During the 2011 NBA lockout, West was back home in Brandywine, Maryland, working in a furniture store to make ends meet. A man who had earned over $16 million stacking furniture for a paycheck. The lockout stripped structure from every player's life. But for someone whose mental health depended on routine and stability, it was devastating. After the lockout, he joined the Dallas Mavericks, but a pair of preseason incidents led to his release before the 2012-13 season. The NBA door was closing. Slowly, then all at once, starting in 2013, West was acquired by the Texas Legends, part of the NBA D-League. He played with the team for the better part of the year, before signing a deal with the Fujian Sturgeons in the Chinese Basketball Association. He was chasing the game down to wherever it would still have him. China, the G-League. Anywhere a team would let him play. After leaving the league, he played in China, and later the NBA's D-League before retiring in 2015. Retirement at 31, not because he chose it, because the options ran out. And then, without the daily structure of professional basketball, without the routine, the travel schedule, the team environment, without the thing that had anchored him since he was a kid in Maryland, Delonte West began to unravel in public. In 2016, a fan spotted West wandering outside a fast food restaurant in Houston, barefoot and wearing a hospital gown. When asked if he was Delonte West, he replied, "I used to be, but I'm not about that life anymore." I used to be, 3 words, said by a man standing outside a fast food restaurant, barefoot, in a hospital gown. There is almost no sentence in sports history more heartbreaking than that one. By that point, videos of him panhandling in Maryland had already gone viral online. The man who had scored 33 points in a perfect game at St. Joseph's, the man who had been a starting guard on an NBA roster, was standing on a street corner asking strangers for money. West later confirmed he wasn't homeless at the time and was instead helping a homeless man in his neighborhood. He pushed back. He tried to explain, but the internet had already decided the story. And then 2019 arrived, and it got worse. A disturbing video emerged showing a disheveled West being beaten in the middle of a Washington, D.C. street. In a second video filmed by police, West, handcuffed and clearly distressed, screamed and ranted incoherently. That video went everywhere. People who hadn't thought about Delonte West in years suddenly saw him again, not as an NBA player, not even as a troubled man, but as a person being beaten on a highway in the city where he was born. Former teammates, coaches, fans, everybody watched it, and everybody had something to say. Former NBA player Royce White, whose own career had been derailed by the league's failure to address his mental health, said publicly, "Sad to hear the news about Delonte West. We failed him." His own career had been stopped short due to the NBA not adequately addressing his mental health challenges. "We should be talking about mental health honestly all the time," he wrote, "not just when celebrities are in crisis." Phil Martelli, West's former coach at St. Joseph's University, tweeted that he was working to get his former player help. Jameer Nelson, another NBA player and West's former teammate at St. Joseph's, also tweeted his support and urged people struggling with mental health to seek professional help immediately. These were people who had known Delonte up close, people who had watched him go 27-0, who had seen the talent and the fire. And now they were watching the same man, on the same streets where he grew up, slipping further and further away. Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks, the team West had played his final NBA season with, had tried to help multiple times. In 2014, Cuban attempted to connect West with a financial advisor, but was unsuccessful. Then, in 2020, he was filmed picking up West at a gas station in Dallas. "I can confirm that I found him and helped him," Cuban told the Washington Post. "The rest is up to Delonte and his family to tell." Cuban helped him enter a drug rehabilitation clinic in Florida. For the first time in years, it looked like the floor had been found, like someone with resources and willingness had stepped in and caught him before he disappeared completely. Recovery doesn't look like a straight line for anyone. But for Delonte West, the distance between the peaks and the valleys became almost impossible to watch. In late 2021, West relapsed and was arrested in Florida after a drunken outburst outside a police station. He claimed to be Jesus Christ, the president, and made several erratic statements. This wasn't substance abuse in isolation. This was bipolar disorder in full, uncontrolled expression. The grandiosity, the disorientation, the complete disconnection from reality. These are textbook symptoms of a manic episode, and they were playing out on a sidewalk in Florida, in front of police officers, with everyone watching. In 2022 and 2024, he was again arrested multiple times in Virginia for trespassing, intoxication, and probation violations. At one point, he was revived with Narcan after a suspected opioid overdose. Narcan, the drug that reverses opioid overdoses, the drug that is the difference between someone being alive and someone being dead. Delonte West needed it, and it worked, and he kept going. In July 2022, he was again seen begging on the streets and was arrested later that year on misdemeanor charges. In 2024, police found him unresponsive from a drug overdose, and miraculously, he survived. In 2025, another video spread online. A family filmed him for their son, who idolized West, as they handed him $20. West looked distant, unfazed, a shell of the NBA guard he once was. The family's son idolized this man, idolized him. And this was the version they handed $20 to on the side of the road. That's not a sports story anymore. That's a human one. Mark Cuban, watching all of this unfold, said in 2023, lots of guys wanted to help him. He just couldn't help himself. He called it brutal to watch and added, "I thought we had him turned around. Only so much you can do." Mental illness is real, and you don't just wish it away, you don't just rehab it away. Those three sentences are the most honest accounting of this entire situation. You don't just wish it away, you don't just rehab it away, because bipolar disorder doesn't respond to goodwill. It doesn't care that Mark Cuban has money, or that Phil Martelli sent a tweet, or that Jameer Nelson is publicly asking his former backcourt partner to get help. The illness is its own force, and without consistent, sustained, specialized treatment, it wins. In November 2025, West was found unconscious and not breathing. He was breathing by the time the Fairfax County Police Department arrived on scene. West refused to be taken to a hospital, but was arrested due to how intoxicated he was. He was reportedly 30 days sober in January before another setback. 1 week later, he was arrested in Virginia on robbery and assault charges. A robbery that netted only $23, while his bond was set at $1.0, $23. That's the amount from a man who, in his peak earning year, made $4,254, $250 in a single NBA season. The number doesn't need commentary. It just sits there. His attorney, Brandon Sloan, told TMZ that there was more to the story than the headlines suggested, and that his client was using the process as a wake-up call. "I'm proud of Delonte as he has used this process to seek out help and been released on bond to a treatment facility," Sloan said. "We all look forward to his continued progress, and Delonte is particularly appreciative of the numerous thoughts and well wishes over the last several weeks." And then March 2026, on March 25, a man named Ted Sheely posted a video of West on Facebook. In the clip, West appeared in good spirits, wearing an all-black outfit with Jordans on his feet and a chain around his neck. He was holding a phone and an energy drink, with a smile on his face. Delonte West, the former NBA guard whose public battles with mental health and substance abuse have drawn widespread attention, had announced 100 days of sobriety. Not 30 days, not a week, 100. And he said it himself on camera, smiling. That video hit the internet and something shifted in the comments. People who had watched him through every painful headline, through the guitar case, through the hospital gown, through the DC street, through the Narcan, they held on to that video with both hands. Delonte West's story isn't over. That's the thing people need to remember. He's not just a former NBA player, he's a man trying to find his way, sometimes in the harshest possible conditions, with the weight of his past trailing behind him like a shadow that refuses to shrink. That's the truth. He's 42. He has a diagnosis that requires lifelong management. He's navigating addiction, legal consequences, and the psychological weight of having had everything: the draft pick, the contract, the teammates, the crowds, and watching it dissolve. Not because he wasn't talented, not because he didn't work, but because no amount of fame or fortune can immunize someone against the struggles of mental illness and substance abuse. Bipolar disorder and other mental health conditions can be incredibly damaging when not properly treated. Yet many people with the same condition live functioning, happy lives because they seek the counseling and medication they need. Delonte West's life would likely have been very different had he gotten the help he needed early on. Early. That word does a lot of work because the system that was supposed to catch him, the NBA, the sports media, the institutions around professional athletes, didn't catch him early. It caught him late and badly and in public. And by the time the resources arrived, the illness had already done years of damage. His story also highlights the challenges retired athletes face when the structure and support of professional sports disappear. The moment the final whistle blows on a career, the scaffolding comes down. The team facility, the coaching staff, the schedule, the identity, gone. And for someone whose mental health was held together in part by the routine of being an athlete, that sudden vacuum is catastrophic. Royce White said we failed him. Phil Martelli sent tweets. Jameer Nelson asked his former teammate to seek help. Mark Cuban picked him up at a gas station and paid for rehab twice. Friends, fans, and former coaches continue to hope West finds lasting help. And somewhere in Florida, in an all-black outfit with Jordans on his feet, Delonte West is 100 days sober and counting. That's not an ending. That's not a resolution, but it's something real to hold on to. In a story that has had